Our keynote speaker tonight is Roland Gutierrez, candidate to unseat Ted Cancun Cruz to the United States Senate. Roland is a Texas state senator that fights for working families from San Antonio to Uvalde and the Texas border. In the days after the 19 children and 2 teachers were killed in the Uvalde massacre, Roland fought to uncover the events at Robb Elementary, supporting victims and their families, and pursuing life-saving policy reform. As a Texas state senator, Roland has been a leading voice in the state's capital in the prevention of gun violence. After the Uvalde massacre, Roland fought side by side with the parents and families of the 19 children and 2 teachers to uncover the failures in the Department of Public Safety and the state's response to the shooting. While on the San Antonio City Council, he bought a new library to the city's south side and spearheaded the after-school programs and created local incentives for electric and hybrid vehicles. As state representative, Roland prioritized mental health programs by establishing the Warrior Resiliency Center in San Antonio to focus on the treatment of PTSDs for veterans and our Texans. Roland pushed the state to provide resources to survivors of sexual assault by creating a crisis call center that provides emotional and legal support. Roland also pioneered the Farmer Suicide Prevention Hotline to address the mental health needs of our rural Texans, which has saved 60 lives and counting. The son of migrant immigrants, Roland has spent his whole life fighting to create real change for communities across Texas, from fixing infrastructure to fighting for stronger education. That's exactly the kind of fight he'll bring to the United States Senate. Roland Gutierrez lives with his wife Sarah and daughters Isabella and Victoria in San Antonio, Texas. Let's give a Hays County Democratic Party welcome to State Senator Roland Gutierrez.
My goodness, you know, I don't generally write my speeches, but I wrote a few words down today. But before I begin, last year was so exciting when I came to see you. When John sent me that letter, I said, hell yes, I'm going to be there. You guys fired me up last year. You're doing it again today. How about a big round of applause for Black's Barbecue? They're giving us that good food to eat. You know, before I get on with these prepared remarks, I wanted to tell you a story. You know, I don't watch Fox News or anything, but I saw a rerun of this thing the other day. And old Ted Cruz, he went like, stomped his foot, and he says, you know, I'm just pissed. And old Hannity says, well, what are you pissed about? He says, I'm pissed that my friend Donald Trump has been indicted for now a 4th time. It's just too bad. It's too bad that this man didn't get pissed off when Donald Trump insulted his wife. He didn't get pissed off when he called his father a communist. It's a wonder that this young man is still married. But you know what? She's a good woman, I'm sure. And she can keep him if she wants. But he sure as hell doesn't have to be our U.S. Senator. And we're going to get rid of him. I'm going to tell you how. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of coming in second. What do you think? We're done. We're done with that. And they're scared of you. They're scared of you for what they see here in Hays County. They're absolutely scared of you. They're scared to what they see. Your judge, Ruben Becerra, we were talking about one of his colleagues up in Fort Bend, a guy from Pakistan named KP George. He's the county judge in Fort Bend, and they're scared because what they see in Fort Bend, they're scared what they see in Hays. They've lost the big cities, but they're losing every county near them, I'll tell you that, and it's because of your efforts and your hard work. And it's because your leaders are doing the right thing. They're bringing jobs, and they're talking about the things that matter most, the issues that matter most, the kitchen table politics, because that's what this race is going to be about. And don't let anybody ever tell you that we're not going to turn Texas blue. Our job right here, right now, is to turn this state blue. And we're going to talk to every You know, these poor souls, I know Hillary had a word for them, and I'm not going to say that because that's not what they are. You know, I loved Hillary. These poor souls, they've been bamboozled. They've been lied to, right? You know, these old boys got to get up there every day and they talk about this big lie. Poor Greg Casar has to hear it every day up there in Washington. The big lie about, you know, the democracy, it's been stolen. Isn't that right, Congressman? You hear all this crazy stuff from these guys in the House of Representatives. We've been lied to, all right. We've been scammed for sure. What they didn't tell you, what they didn't tell us is they're the ones doing the scamming. They're the ones doing the neglecting. Because for 30 years we've been told that we're living in some kind of Texas miracle. I'm here to tell you that by the time we're done tonight, you're going to call what's happening in our state the Texas nightmare. And that's sad, and we shouldn't have that. Because I don't know what's so miraculous about children waiting for 77 minutes to be rescued. I'm not going to keep you in that space. It's been a journey for me for sure. I've watched hundreds of hours of videotape, and I've seen cops fail. I've seen the children be braver than the cops. I've seen whole blocks surrounded with cop cars so ambulances couldn't get in or out. The one ambulance that was there, the teacher died waiting for 45 extra minutes to get out of there. And so we have a real problem for sure in Texas. We're broken for sure. We're broken and we need to do something so much better than this. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. I don't know what's so miraculous about a state where 800 people die when it gets cold. I know y'all aren't all from Texas. I know you got here as quick as you could, but do I have any northerners, any folks from North Dakota, Wyoming, upstate New York, new transplants? We've got a few. Yeah, that's all right. You can clap. You got here as quick as you could. That's right. It gets really cold in upstate New York. It gets really cold in North Dakota. And every year I check the news. I see, well, how many people died under this glacial storm that came into North Dakota or upstate New York? Usually, sadly, some folks die, 10, 12 people. 800 people died in this state because Republicans couldn't take care of business. Because all they cared about was making a buck for their friends. 800 people died. I had a woman that I knew in San Antonio. She froze trying to turn the stove on. It's incredible where we are. I don't know what's so miraculous when we have a health care system that takes $15,000 out of the pockets of working class families. Not a whole lot of miraculous there. I don't know what is so miraculous about a state that forecloses on women's reproductive rights. I don't know what's so miraculous about that. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. You see, our system in this state is broken. And we need to talk to each and every one of us out there and tell them we are going to fix it and we've got to fix this together. Ted Cruz didn't break it, but he embodies every bit of that broken system. Ted Cruz and others like him. They want to go pick on marginalized people. They want to pick on immigrants. They want to pick on LGBTQ kids. They want to pick on black people. They want to blame everybody out there, every poor person, for all of their failures. And so for the last year, I've been calling them out on their lies, including this BS on the border. Because I promise you, for the last 90 days, this president, Joe Biden, has cut down border crossings by re-implementing Title VIII by 70%. By 70% he's done that. What did Greg Abbott do? He said, this is working. You all better get those balls down there. Get those buoys down there. And those buoys, some folks will say, well, it's 1,000 feet of buoy. That's not going to do anything. Well, these 6 SOBs, we got a few kids here, they put them in the shallow part of the water. And what it does is it pushes all those migrants into the deep part. And very early on when they put them up, a woman died with her 2 children. That's not America. That's not who we are. We can solve, by the way, that immigration problem, but these Republicans don't want to do anything about that because they don't care about any kind of solution other than the kind that puts money into the pockets of their 1%. Rather than to fix things, old Ted Cruz would rather go pick on Barbie. Barbie didn't do anything to him. He'd rather say, don't drink Bud Light. I wish I had a Bud Light. I might here drink it right now. You know, these folks never will accept what's wrong. You heard that bio earlier, and I hate it when they read my bio, but thank you, John. I did that Farmer Suicide Prevention Act not as a bill. They killed that bill. I did it on an amendment to the Agriculture Sunset Bill, TDA, Texas Department of Agriculture. And I had no choice but to vote for farmers. And this past session, crazy Sid Miller, he's not that crazy, he's a buddy of mine. Believe it or not, Sid and I actually get along just fine. Sid gets there in committee, and he says, because of Senator Gutierrez's amendment, we saved 60 lives. Imagine that. Imagine that. You see, you didn't know this, but farmers have the highest incidence of suicide in the nation. Isn't that amazing? We're broken. We're broken, and we need to fix things. And every now and then, even crazy old Sid Miller will be there helping you fix things. But the rest of them, forget about it. We've got to be able to solve the real problems that are facing us. They never want to look at what's truly wrong. They never really want to accept that we have too many guns in the wrong hands and the wrong people. Right? They never accept that we have a broken electrical infrastructure. And they never accept that people are going broke trying to make their health care costs. Because if you're poor, you've got health coverage. If you're over 65, you've got health care coverage. But the middle class in America is still struggling. And almost 30% of their income, 30% of their income is going to health care costs. Imagine this. Imagine this. The vast majority of Texans, including those bamboozled Republicans that we need to get on our side. I still believe. I get it. I get it. But we're going to talk to them. The vast majority of a Texas family of four makes, the average income is $60,000. How do you make it when health care costs $14,000? It's unbelievable where we're at. This old boy, Ted Cruz, he couldn't even vote for a jobs bill, which was the bipartisan infrastructure act that brought $66 billion in jobs. $66 billion in jobs to Texas. You imagine that? So when I was a kid, there was a guy named Henry B. Gonzalez. You guys remember him? A hell of a man. Well, Henry B., he'd come down to San Antonio and he'd say, I brought you this hospital. I brought you this highway. I brought you this school. And that meant jobs for people, well-paying construction jobs that allowed people to live their American dream. We've got to get back to that. But you know what Ted Cruz does now?
Not much.
Not much, but you know what he does? He was over in... I went to Waxahachie last week. They said it's not Waxahachie, it's Waxahachie. So I went to Waxahachie last week. You know what they told me? They said, yeah, old Ted Cruz came over here and he was part of the ribbon cutting for one of those federal projects. And they called him out on it because we need to tell everybody the truth. We need to tell everybody the truth. He couldn't even vote for the internet bill that brought $300 million to our state. I mean, forget the partisan stuff. This guy can't even do the stuff that helps people. And so I'm going to wrap up here in a little bit, but I'm going to tell you what we need. I'm going to tell you how each and every one of you is going to win this seat, okay? Because we got to talk about that. We got to talk about that. So we deserve a senator that will protect women's rights no matter what cost. And if that means breaking the filibuster in the Senate, then by God, do it. If that means more Supreme Court justices, then by God, do it. And that might be some dog whistle for Republicans, but let's be really clear. There's no rule, there's no magic for 9. Let me tell you how it happened about 100 years ago. There was 9 circuits, that's it. So they said 9 Supreme Court justices. Well, there's 13 circuits now. No matter what cost. No matter what cost. And by God, we need to tell Chuck Schumer to break the filibuster because it is time. It is time when it comes to issues of women's reproductive rights or electoral rights or gun violence in this country. We need to break the filibuster and do it now. And I have no problems telling them to do it. We deserve a senator that protects our kids from gun violence by reinstating the assault weapons ban. We deserve a senator that'll make a law that'll tie onto the eastern and western grids. Let me tell you, the folks at El Paso, the folks in East Texas, their light was on. Their power was on because they're tied on to the rest of the United States. And the rest of us, the poor folks in the middle, well, we got screwed all right. We got screwed, and our friends and our family members died because of these people. So we deserve a senator that's going to do the right thing there. We deserve a senator that's going to give a young person a chance and not saddled with debt when they graduate from college. We need to create a 10-year, 100% tax credit for your college education. That will drive our economy like you can't believe. I promise you that. Instead of having to pay those loans, and they'll pay them, and they're also going to get a credit. But then they'll be able to buy that house, buy that condo, buy that car, and our economy will move forward because there's no engine stronger than that youth. We deserve a senator that's going to put money back in the pockets of people, of working class families, and work towards, and this is a crazy one, I promise you, people are going to tell you, oh, that Gutierrez guy, he's out of line. But I'm not, and I promise you it pays for itself. We deserve a single-payer system once and for all. Because I'm tired of big insurance companies. Greg's been fighting for this. I'm tired of big insurance companies and big pharma. This is the only country in the world. Greg and I have a friend, so now I'm going to make my speech a little longer. We have a friend because this is a neat story. It's not sad. It's neat because he's with us here and he's working hard. How many of you know those twins, Joaquin and Julian Castro? They're good guys. They're good guys. We need to thank the hogs, the wild hogs in Spain. How many know this story? The javelinas, the hogs, whatever you want to call them, the boars. I think the newspaper called it a boar. I told Joaquin I'm going to tell his story forever and a day. He's in Spain with some other Congress people. Were you there? No? He's in Spain with some other folks from Congress. And they're running down the road in some vehicle, I don't know what it was, and this wild javelina runs in front of the car. Car wrecks. Everybody's okay, thank God. They all go to the hospital, though, in Spain. Wonderful country. Joaquin says, my wrist hurts. And so when you go to the hospital in San Antonio and you tell them your wrist hurts, they go fix your wrist. But this old boy, Joaquin, they put a splint on it. They say, okay, we're going to do some x-rays on that. They put him in a neck brace. We're going to check, make sure you're good. And we're going to do an MRI with contrast. And poor old Joaquin, they find him riddled with stomach cancer. Imagine that. Imagine that. They saved his life. That wild hog saved his life. And the story's not over. The story's not over because he went to MD Anderson. He said, I got in this accident. They found this stuff. Can you take it out of me? And they did most of it. But he has to live with this for the rest of his life. And the good part of the story is he's going to be okay. Here's the bad part of this story. The shot he takes once a month at MD Anderson costs $26,000. $26,000. Out of pocket, Joaquin is paying about $1,200 a month. How in the world is anybody supposed to afford that? So you're damn right, we need to fight for a single-payer system because it is about everyday kitchen table politics. It is the economy, stupid. It is. And stupid is Donald Trump, by the way. Don't tell me this crap that we've been lied to. He's the one doing the lying for sure. We deserve so much more. We deserve a senator that's not going to blame some poor immigrant for every economic problem and criminal problem an education problem, and healthcare problem, because we know better. We know better. I'm the son of immigrants, and all we know how to do is work. And that's how we're going to win this race. We're going to win this race because Greg goes up there and he's over there handling serious issues. He's trying to fix the serious problems by a serious person that you have here in Greg Casar. And we need serious people. We don't need people like Ted Cruz and Donald Trump and Greg Abbott and the rest of them and Dan Patrick. We need serious people solving serious day-to-day problems. So now I'm going to wrap up in the next couple of minutes, and we're going to tell you how you are going to win this race. Because this isn't about me. Everybody says, Roland, you better beat him. We better beat him. And I'm going to tell you how. We will. You can clap. We're going to beat them like this. Everywhere I go across Texas, there's groups like this. And by the way, well, that's not true. There is no group like this one. There is no group like this one. You guys are fired up and ready to go. But I want to tell you this. Beto O'Rourke, my goodness, let's give that guy a big round of applause. Because he ignited us. He ignited us. He took us to 5.3 million Democrats voted in that race against Cruz, and Cruz got 5.6 million people. Imagine that, 300,000 people. So let's do a little bit of math. Let's do a little bit of math. 300,000 people, that's the vote difference, right? Each and every one of you. And at every meeting I go to across this state, it's probably you are the faithful. You are the party cadre, the people that are there day in and day out, going to every meeting like this one, and even the ones in the middle of the week where there's just 10 of you. And you're there because you love this country and you love your party and you love this state and you want to make this a better place for your children. So that's about 10% of y'all. About 10% of that 5.3 million. Let's just call it 500,000. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to do the power of one. Each and every one of you is going to go grab a kid working in the kitchen, a kid at the grocery store. Hell, who knows, maybe even as a kid at home that says, oh, Dad, Mom, those politicians don't do anything for me. Government doesn't happen. Politics doesn't. Those people don't make a difference. But you're going to find somebody, and that might be your 45-year-old neighbor next door. And you're going to educate them on what's right, because you know what's right. We just went over it. And if it's a kid, you're just going to do what I do and take their phone away for 30 minutes and you'll get them to comply. I promise they'll go to the polls with you. They will go to the polls with you. And the reason they're going to do it, is because you're going to tell them when they tell you, yeah, government doesn't do anything for me. You're going to tell them, well, this government in this state of Texas, sure as hell didn't do anything from those 19 little children and those 2 teachers. And it is high time that you go out and get active and give those kids 15 minutes of your time. 15 minutes of your time, because each and every one of them deserved our efforts to keep them safe. It is high time that we go out there and work and prevent all of this madness from happening again. And we're going to do this all together. We're going to do this all together because 30 years is too long. It's time we remove this yoke off our necks. We will win with your help. My name is Roland Gutierrez, and I want to be your next United States Senator. And if you're frustrated, you go to RolandForTexas.com, RolandForTexas.com, and you come and join me in this fight, because it is a fight. It is a fight, and we're going to all do this together. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hays County. I appreciate you, and I love you. Thank you, John.